Flyover State of Film was shot in front of a live studio audience.
Hello and welcome to Flyover State of Film presents FlyBy Conversations. And much like the flybys by our heroic Blue Angels, it's pretty to look at and totally useless. Today I'm here with Jusef. I'm hosting-ish, but I have to give him credit. This was kind of his idea. We're talking about the original Planet of the Apes franchise. My man knew that I'm a fan. He hadn't, he wanted to catch up on all of them, the breadth of the whole, the mythology, if you will, and he knew that I was more than happy to play that game with him and be a part of that.
I mean, if you're gonna talk apes with somebody, it might as well the one that has the avatar of Dr. Seuss.
Shout out
Twitter.
to Joe for doing that amazing art and putting my face on Dr. Zaius. I'll never change it. I used to be a guy who flipped his avatar when I thought something was funny, or never again. That's the perfect. He did it,
What I like about it is, like, if you don't pay attention, you don't even notice that's your face.
No,
it's so well done.
Like, if it's so small on your phone, you probably don't even know.
I mean, I even opened it. I was like, yeah, that could be Dr. Seuss. Why not?
Okay, I get it. All right, I'm a monkey.
Right,
hilarious. Me and Ron Perlman think that's really funny. Okay.
So the purpose of this flybys is to have like a more pared down and just talk about movies instead of like multiple topics. Also, we don't have people talking over each other, but I mean, I'm paired with Brian, so it's going to happen.
Games. We don't play any games on here.
So the first one was Joe and me doing Mandy because we wanted to talk about our shared passion for Nicolas Cage, and now I wanted to share my passion for the Ape movies.
Way to plug your last episode. Nice.
So I wanted to hand over the mic to Brian and have him, like, probably, as we discussed prior to starting taping, probably not many people have seen the 5 originals, so we wanted to give like a brief overview of like the major plot points and also how they each connect. So go ahead,
right.
Brian.
I'm gonna try to move quickly but still be thorough. Here's my street cred of my old school box set. I brought it down for this one. Every movie gets its own full-size DVD case where they didn't give a shit about wasted plastic. Fuck the environment. Look at all that. That's nice. Anyway, so speaking of fuck the environment, 3 astronauts arrive on a hostile world. They've been traveling in space. They basically have traveled to about 2,000 years into the future. They land on a hostile planet. They find a society of first mute humans, mostly kind of just primitively hunting-gathering types, and then quickly are introduced to a society of intelligent apes. You got the 3 ape stratas, which I'll just hit briefly because it's important. Throughout the series, you got chimps, orangutans, and gorillas. Sorry, bonobos, you get the shaft in this one. Apparently, you're just bullshit chimps. Nobody cares about you. The way it's structured, it's like chimps are the kind of scientists. Orangutans are more like politicians, and gorillas are like your soldiers and laborers.
Yeah, and religious as well. Politicians/religious.
Politicians/religion, yeah, like intellectuals, like thinkers, but not scientists. More like you talked about, more like philosophers. So our main Charlton Heston, Taylor, our main guy, who I don't know how much you want to talk about each movie, but I love how sadistically like cruel he is to his co-pilots when he's telling them, they're like, "Oh, the world we left behind is long dead. Everyone you've ever known is gone." Like he just rubs it in their fucking face all the time. That gif of him laughing that everybody's so familiar with is because his co-pilot is like putting a small pile of rocks with a little American flag, and he's like mocking him openly.
But that also sets up like a wonderful arc of him in the end when he like actually breaks down when he realizes, oh fuck, everything is fucked. So all his narcissism.
Oh man, joke is actually legitimately on me. So anyway, sorry. Taylor is, captured by the apes. He starts a kind of a relationship communication with Zira, who's a scientist, and her husband Cornelius. They're kind of the guy who's like the orangutan over them is Dr. Zaius. He is kind of trying to keep things under control. Zira's like, hey, this guy's intelligent. Cornelius is like, hey, out here in the Forbidden Zone, there might be weird artifacts that show that maybe our scrolls are wrong. He's the guy who's like, I don't want to hear any of that. We'll keep that on the down low. Status quo, status quo. That's my deal. But Taylor, Taylor's going Taylor. He talks, he bangs, and he like gets out, and he, obviously breaks loose, and he gets away from his ape captors, and he kind of reveals the truth about their society to some extent. Now, they only know that, eventually, the thing they were basically trying to cover up was that there was a race of, intelligent humans before the apes. Anyway, that all resolves, and Taylor takes off with Nova, his girlfriend, who doesn't talk and is very hot. In fact, Nova, to me, hotter than Raquel Welch in the 10,000 BC, the classic poster. What do you think, Jusef? Yeah.
Oh, no, yes, it's super hot, but it also adds a weird layer to should he be banging that?
Oh, he definitely I want to say the word I don't feel like it's rape, but it was one of those things where she's clear, he just grabs her, he's like, you're with me now, and she's like, okay, I'm an ant, I'm basically a dog, so I'm just gonna go along with that. So, I'm like a super hot German Shepherd, so
Nova in this movie, and especially in the next one, I don't know, maybe she grew into her confidence, but in the next one she's super hot as well.
Yeah, she looks great. She's great. So anyway,
then we have the
big climax of the movie. The one thing that most people do know about Planet of the Apes is the big revelation at the end that this distant, desolate world that has been ravaged by war is the Earth. You see the Statue of Liberty. Da, da, da. You blew it up, you bastard! Smacked up. Oh, pound the sand. Great stuff. Love it. So that's a huge hit. Everybody loves it. Makes a ton of money. Yeah, so they're like, we got to do another one. And of course, they're like, what? What are we going to do? Another one? What do you mean? It's like, we'll come up with something. And what they came up with is Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Great names.
So that was 2 years.
Would you say all these movies have excellent names?
They have excellent names, but I just feel like the order would have been, the use of the order would have been better. Because you have to go first beneath, then you have to escape it, and then you have to conquer it, and then you have to battle for it.
Yeah, the new trilogy's like that too, because Rise comes before Dawn. That's weird.
Yeah, but it's still great. But still great names.
Yeah, they're all great names. They're all powerful names, though. So anyway, in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, a Charlton Heston lookalike comes to basically follows Taylor.
He looks so much like him that
they call it out because Zira full on is like Taylor. Yeah. She just thinks it's him. And is that this movie has tons of undertones about race and class? Is that a racism thing of all humans look alike to Zira?
But it was so much like him that I legit thought that the movie started with a flashback.
Well, it does do that classic thing where it shows us the end of Planet of the Apes, but then it continues, and you see him and you see Taylor and Nova kind of ride a little bit, and then they kind of disappear into there's some weird shit. There's a wall of fire and some lightning, and he falls into a rock, and then Nova rides off to get help and runs into our new guy. Which do you remember his name? I probably wrote it down.
Brent.
Brent. There you go, Brent.
So Brent, but wanted to say something real quick. I wanted to make fun of, like, because all of them have this brief summary of the previous entry, but I then realized, as a baby of the internet and DVDs and Blu-rays, back then movies weren't that ready to be available, so people didn't
hadn't
couldn't
seen them
rewatch.
since the theater. Yeah.
So back then you did need that brief summary of what happened before. Now we make fun of it, like especially like in Friday the 13th movies, they do that a shit ton.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was needed. But go ahead. Like so I feel like the first one we really needed like we needed to pay respect to the first one. But now on, let's do like tidbits and then
I'll try to keep it a little tighter.
Yeah.
They find basically Ape Society still existing. Brent is looking for Taylor, or what happened to Taylor, goes to the Forbidden Zone with Nova. Excuse me. They find another underground society. You get a lot more of the landmarks of New York, of old New York, buried. There's another society of mutant humans who have telepathy and worship a bomb. The Alpha Omega thing comes back in War for the Planet of the Apes. When you rewatch this series, you realize how much they put into the new trilogy. There's so much stuff in the new trilogy.
There's a lot.
These little tidbits. It's really good.
I kept going like, oh yeah, look that. Yeah. Especially like the relationship between Caesar and that smart orangutan that I'm not gonna remember the name was basically placed in that arc of him making friends of that orangutan and him being like the consultant. Constant. So yeah,
there's so much stuff. There's like a thing where in Escape where Zira's doing the puzzle. They do that stuff. That's like the very beginning of Rise of the Planet of the Apes. There's so much that you realize they peppered in. They clearly had a love for the originals. So anyway, they find out that Taylor is still there. Brent finds Taylor. They try to use their telepathy to get him to kill each other. I love that Charlton Heston's wearing a little shirt because he's got a little paunch. He's not all ripped like he was, and like he was not ripped, but like 60s ripped, where he was just really lean and muscular. But he's got like a little shirt on. They gave him a little shirt to wear. So funny.
And then the lookalike is like has abs for days.
Yeah, so that dude, he got in Taylor shape. He got shredded. So, and then it ends basically the guerrillas like follow them there and find the underground. They're attacking, they're fighting with the mutants. Taylor sets off in literally what they say on the behind the scenes was Charlton Heston's idea to not have to come back for any more sequels, to blow up the entire Earth. He was like, how are they going to fucking come back? I will set off the bomb, blow up the whole world. You can't have a Planet of the Apes with no Planet of the Apes.
That's what I thought when it happened. I was like, oh, wait, prequel?
Wait, what? What in the what now? But yeah, so Taylor sets off the bomb, everybody dies, they literally blow up the world. Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Part 3.
We open a year after. Like this one took 2
years they pump them out. This is the old,
and now it's just year after year.
Yeah, and like this is the I was going to talk about it a little bit whenever it came up. This is the old system of, and the horror movies of the 80s were doing this too. They pump out a movie every year. Every subsequent sequel has a smaller and smaller budget because we think of it now, like in your mind, you're like, oh, a sequel to a big movie gets even bigger. You balloon the budget. It makes it crazy. Back then, no. They were like, okay, this was good, but no way everybody's coming back for the sequel. So we got to make sure that we spend less on the sequel because we have to account for the fact that less people are going to come see it. And they literally did that every time, to the point where the 4th and 5th movie's budget is basically what they spent on makeup for the first movie. It's unreal how cheap they started making these.
Yeah, and you start to see a lot of the recycled clothes.
Which is weird because 4 looks great and 5 looks like a fucking backyard shot on home video.
Yeah.
I mean, not that the quality of film is bad, but literally the production value is like what did we have? A field, I guess, and a matte painting. That's basically what we got here. So anyway, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Part 3. We open on a beach, human beach. Humans are fishing out a rocket. Who comes out of the rocket? 3 astronauts. Welcome home, boys. They pull off their masks. It's apes. It's Cornelius, Zira, and a new character who's basically like the red shirt of this.
Yeah.
Played by famous Sal Mineo from Rebel Without a Cause. This is Dr. Milo. Dr. Milo is the third ape.
And that's the one that figure out how to use the rocket.
Right, basically,
that Taylor came in the first one, so that's
I
how
was
they
gonna say how
justify.
inconsistent the ape technology was in the first movie. It's like you have guns and cameras, and then literally everything else is like stone and rock and wood carts. Like,
Yeah. That's true.
in
And
the
something that
original
I
movie,
hated.
they didn't have the budget. I guess it was supposed to be weird airplanes and like flying shit. But of course, they were doing it on the cheap.
So how did they? I guess like it doesn't matter. Like we're here and we just have to accept the reality. But how the fuck did they fished out that rocket from the deep sea?
Yeah, they
That
say it's
it's sunk
Taylor's
in.
rocket. Maybe they use parts of the other one too. I have no idea. Yeah, they talk about in the first Planet of the Apes, they don't believe flight is even possible, and he amazes them by throwing a paper airplane, and it like blows their minds. um, so I don't know. Like, my thing is Dr. Milo is probably very smart for his society. Basically, just got the power running and hit the autopilot, and they just went backwards where they came from. It just
Yeah.
took off. They put on the suits and they just got in and hoped for the best. The world was fucking exploding, right? Like they were like,
Yeah.
shit's going bad.
And fuck logic. Like if Taylor went in through a loop
Yeah,
and
we can go back
jumped
through
to
the same loop.
just go back to the same loop. All right, go ahead.
So Dr. Milo unceremoniously gets killed, so it's just Zira and Cornelius. They basically become kind of pseudo celebrities, these talking apes. They have hearings, which was great. On the behind the scenes, you find out that the guy who was the writer for part 3 was like blacklisted in the McCarthy era, so that's like why there's so much like political stuff in some of these. But they have their hearings and everything. They're kind of like pseudo celebrities. Glam up montage, which I know you loved. But then we find out Zira's pregnant. Basically, it comes out. They kind of get her drunk and get her to tell that like what happened to the world. And basically, you find out that super intelligent apes take over, and the humans that find this out freak out. They want to kill the baby. The one guy is like, you always got your zealot character who wants to kill them all. I was actually surprised at how pragmatic they made the humans in this one. Like they actually thought it out and were like, no, that's not humane. Granted, they land on sterilization. They land on abortion and sterilization, but they thought about it. You know what I mean? They didn't want to immediately. I figured I literally was like, oh, they're just going to rubber stamp his thing of, we need to kill these apes. Yep. Send them through,
I was also impressed, not impressed because I didn't like it in the end, but how warm everybody was towards the idea of like, obviously this is the summary part, but fuck it, we can talk about at this point here. During the hearing that you were mentioning, people were like clapping for the talking apes, like for their points. They were like, she was like, oh, men should be doing dishes, and everyone's like, oh yeah,
she was like a feminist icon. She's fully like giving speeches and stuff. Like
it was the Tootsie of 1971.
Hell yeah, escape over Tootsie, guys. So anyway, public sentiment kind of turns on them because word gets out about this, about the ape future. They go on the run because they don't want their baby to be killed, obviously. They're in hiding on like a boat. The bad guys find them. They get killed, which is crazy. The tone of this third one is nuts, right?
Dude,
like it goes into full on, like the ending was
we can talk about it once we get there, but you skipped over a very important plot, just like we can move on, is that they first go into a circus.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention the circus on the back end. I was just gonna say,
they do
find
like
out that they had switched out the baby with Ricardo Montalban's circus. Also, in my notes here, you'd be able to see that I was working on a joke about Khan and Kong to kind of do the monkey thing. I never came up with anything, so this is the place where that joke would go had I come up with that joke.
Insert that
here. Right. You guys appreciate my effort, right?
We tried.
So they're dead, and the baby is with Ricardo Montalban. Fast forward 20 years, now we're in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Side note, this is the one that kind of got me into the series as a kid. It was on cable a lot. I caught it a couple times on cable, and this got me into it. Then I kind of reverse engineered my love of Planet of the Apes from that.
So it kind of worked. It kind of worked for you as a prequel.
Yeah,
I like in terms of like not even a prequel. Sorry, like you saw it in terms of like
yeah, kind of. I mean, I think when I saw Conquest, I already kind of culturally was aware of Planet of the Apes. Like by the time I was getting into it, I'd probably already seen the Simpsons episode that referenced it and stuff like that. I don't know what the timeline is here. It's sketchy.
There's so many movies.
My memory is a little rough. I don't take care of my brain.
There's so many movies that you know out of just the Simpsons. Like, oh yeah, the Simpsons episode.
Right, exactly. Like my first that and like Looney Tunes. Now I'm realizing there were so many references to like classic movies that I was like, oh, that's who that guy was. So anyway, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. 20 years later, we've got basically jumped to 1984. A plague has killed all the dogs and cats, so people started domesticating apes and monkeys, and then they realized how trainable apes were, and instantly like turned them into slaves. And I don't mean like slaves in the way like some movies will subtly like a working class. They have legit auctions. This is a slave race. They train them. Caesar is the exception. He's grown up in this circus. He's obviously, Ricardo Montalban treats him good. He talks. He's out much more. The intelligence of the apes is like slightly above average in this one, I guess, but they're still not to the level they are in classic apes. Through a series of events, they find out about that he's the talking ape, and the only talking ape that could possibly exist would be this child of Zira and
the time traveler.
So they go on the hunt for him. Ricardo Montalban gets killed, so Caesar's kind of on his own, and he basically starts an ape revolution. He sees the way apes are treated. He himself goes through the whole system of becoming an ape slave, and once he deals with that, that's it. He starts an ape revolution. Tons of great. Obviously, I was like watching it this time. I was like, oh, no wonder I fucking fell in love with this one as a kid. There's like 20-30 minutes of just ape carnage at the end.
Yeah.
Burning and blowing shit up and fighting and killing.
Fire.
It's great.
Yeah. And it has a very powerful ending as well. Even if you want the alternate or the original that displayed, like his speech with the fire and the flame and the destruction.
This one, like I said, despite the small budget, this one looks amazing. Like, I think this one is shot really cool. I think like there's a lot of great contrast and like really stark because everything's like this concrete. Like I said, it looks like 1984 or something. The revolution happens. And then the fifth movie is basically we're in kind of a period where apes and humans are living together. They're still intelligent humans. They're like a subservient class, but there's kind of like a a tenuous kind of.
Yeah, there's like an underlying knowledge that you're my bitch, but we're not saying it out loud.
Also, I got to shout out the lawgiver at the very, very beginning of this one is John Huston. Yes, that John Huston.
I did not know that.
No, it's crazy, right? So this one's kind of Basically, Caesar's looking for information about his parents. He goes back to this irradiated city where the beginnings of the mutant society from Escape is forming, or not Escape, sorry, beneath the Planet of the Apes is forming.
Yeah.
And kind of like because he comes in, they attack him. They fight back, so the kind of battle gets started. And of course, classic, the humans can't, they're not going to let it alone. No. But at the same time, this is kind of their Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, where we see a parallel in that the like apes also have a more warlike nature. They're trying to do the ape never kill ape thing, and it's just not working out. Like some apes are still
one of the gorillas really wants to.
The gorilla general wants to kind of usurp and kind of have a coup and stuff. So Caesar's kind of beset on all sides, and it all comes out in the end. Weirdly, it kind of ends with a more peaceful society of apes and humans living together. It ends about 600 years after is when the lawgiver's given that speech, and humans and apes are all sitting around there together. So I still don't know how we get quite to Planet of the Apes, but
I feel that. So first, you skipped over the most hilarious ending shot ever filmed, and that is the monkey statue crying for no fucking.
Oh yeah, that's wild. Also, like, the tone seems kind of hopeful, but then the monkey statue is crying? Why?
But I feel like they were trying to say because they mention it a lot in all of these movies that time travel is like a highway, blah blah blah. So I feel like
Yeah,
they're
some of the time
implying
travel
that.
explanations are suspect, I think.
Yeah, but I feel like they're implying with this one that they took a
That
left turn and now we won't get to.
they're on the
Uh,
path to a different
yeah, which I
future.
don't.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I don't like it because what I really enjoy about the third one is that it plays with the paradox of like the endless loop of the monkeys going back and then creating that future
Right,
and
they kind of have it's like
Taylor.
Terminator logic. Like,
Yeah,
how does it work? How could John Connor be born if Kyle Reese never goes back or whatever? How does the first where the first John Connor come from then?
exactly. Yeah, I really
Um,
enjoy that. And the other thing that I really hate about this movie, and sorry, I'm gonna keep bashing on this fucking movie because it was
we're talking about Escape, right? You better be specific. Which one you
no,
don't
no,
like?
no. We're bashing on the last one.
Oh, okay, Battle.
Because
Okay.
we're saying like it fucks up the paradox, probably unless something happens along the way.
But it does open the door for the new Planet of the Apes to also be an alternate history for the same continuity.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, that's a great point. But and you know what I really enjoyed about the trilogy? Or no, sorry, I'm gonna stay focused. Stay focused. You know what I really hated about the last one is that right off the
It
bat, it
cost
was
$10 to make.
like it was 20. But yeah, but it was 20 years later, right? From the revolution. He has a kid and blah blah blah, and everybody is already wearing the same color coding
Yeah, I
clothes.
thought about that too. I was like, wow, they really got on like the outfits quickly, and it's
But
only been
it's
20 years.
like
And
so.
they've only got tree houses. They haven't moved on to the pueblos that they kind of live
Yeah.
in Planet of the Apes. They got like shitty tree houses and stuff. I'm like, oh, but you got the color coded outfits down, like some fine
So
stitching.
2000 years later, nothing has changed. Everybody's saying the same fucking clothes. Fuck off. That really pissed me off when I saw it. I was like, come on.
Yeah, I mean it's dumb. It's like, but clearly it's just like, well, this is what we got laying around, and this movie cost
Yeah,
a nickel to make, so we got to get this shit done.
yeah. They were like, can you look in the back to see what we have? Oh,
That's
we
why
have
they
the
kept
same.
hiring Roddy McDowell. They didn't. It's not even that they liked him; they just could fit the costume. He was like, "You still fit the costume? All right, you're in."
That's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to like. So all right, so before I get cheesy, I don't want to get too cheesy, but this is why I really love movies. And it's so hard to pinpoint how like the magic of movies. But if you were to be told like you are one of the biggest stars in the world right now, Charlton Heston, and somebody comes up to you and it's like, we're gonna make a movie about Planet of the Apes, and you're gonna be surrounded by people in shitty ape costumes, and it's gonna be one of the best movies
Revolutionary for
ever.
the time, ape costumes, not shitty.
I know, but still, like he put all his trust in that. He pushed his chips and says, "I'm gonna bank my reputation," because it literally says Charlton Heston in the Planet of the Apes. So it was his name carrying everything.
Yeah, and I didn't realize, and they were talking about it on the documentary I watched, how like he was already a big star Oscar winner, had done Ten Commandments, and a
Yep.
lot of his roles where he kind of played these like larger than life characters. So then a movie where he's like subjugated, that was really like a thing. And it's crazy that was also. I mean, Charlton Heston's a piece of shit. I don't want anybody to think that I like Charlton Heston. That guy fucking sucks. But it's cool to see a guy at that time like be like, put his whatever manhood to the side and be like, no, I'll do this. I'll be a part of this. I'll fucking get down on this cool idea. That's cool.
Yeah, and also the movie. I mean, all of them except I would argue the third one kind of has it, but it the like we said the comedic tone and the shift, and it's just a weird fucking movie. But all of them have such great social commentary woven in there, like how politicians and religion suppress growth in society, racism, slavery, worshiping of
Oh yeah,
war.
every movie hits different
Yeah,
like has different things to say about different social ideas, and like I said, the thing about the humans and apes and like the subjugation, that seems obvious, but then
yeah,
also they go out of their way to do the thing with the ape class structure, so it's like they're commenting on that, and then you get into,
yeah.
like you said, different movies have different things to say about a lot of different social structures.
Yeah, so I feel like even if like if you can't get over, so I'm gonna say this, you can quote me and we can save this on the internet, but if you can't get over the shitty costumes, you don't fucking deserve a good movie. Like, this is such a good movie.
I hate that people can't have context. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you can't understand what it was like. Like, this shit was revolutionary, and they were doing it like on a budget, and they were on a mass scale. They were doing so much makeup on so many people, and like, I love the look of Planet of the Apes.
I feel like this is probably the original, obviously not on such a large scale, but like a Lord of the Rings type movie. Like, like
well,
that
also,
type of
a lot of
endeavor.
people don't realize this is the first like big merchandised sci-fi movie that like had a big fandom of like kids and stuff really like Planet of the Apes. And, like the first one that had like tons of toys and like lunch boxes and stuff like that. Before Star Wars, Planet of the Apes was the sci-fi franchise that had all that shit.
Yeah.
Like, they were and you know what I mean? And they predated all that. Like, obviously Star Trek had some too, but that was a TV show. That's like a different thing.
So we forgot to say the reason why we're doing this episode as well is because the sequel is turning 50 years old.
Beneath the Planet of the Apes, 1970. Today. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about that movie. So why are they wearing masks?
Yeah, I thought that was weird too. I wrote that down. It's like they all look the same. So why are you hiding your face? It's not like some of you are freaks and some of you are normal and you're trying to hide your like if it was all the high priests who were always with the bomb were like all mangled from radiation and they didn't want the regular people to know somehow like the cave it was in shielded everybody else. I could get that, but they're all weird, gross. I love the makeup there too. The kind of no skin. They look like that. Speaking of The Simpsons, the Halloween episode where the gas turns them inside out. You know the one I'm talking about. They look like that. It's great. I love it. They got like all veins and weird muscles. And shit.
I did enjoy that they had like ethnicities still. Like, even though they were wearing random masks, they were like, "All right, I'm gonna be black."
Yeah, it's like
I
just want to be black. I just want to try it out. Also, do they have multiple masks? Does that have his same face but also in white? Yeah. Like,
that's hilarious. And then they were like talking through their heads, and they're like, "All right, fine, we'll talk with our mouths like primitives." And then they kept talking to each other with their mouths.
Yeah, like you can still communicate with each other however you want. That's fine.
That's hilarious. But yeah, the other thing is the third one, the tonal shift that we wanted to talk about is how do you have in the same movie Teen Wolf looking ape and his wife like going to cocktail dinners and drinking adult grape juice.
Oh,
and then suddenly,
grape juice plus.
grape juice plus, and then suddenly it ends with a man gunning down a newborn ape. Like they showed,
and like he shoots that thing a bunch of times, and then Zira just chucks it in the water. What was that about? Why does Zira just throw it in the water? I mean, even though we know it's not her real kid, why does she just throw it away?
That's so fucked up too. That's another added layer of fucked up. Like, she stole a baby that she knew was gonna be killed from a mother. From a mother. So they were like, that was another layer of fucked up.
She clearly had, no, she didn't steal because Ricardo Montalban knew. So they clearly had a deal.
Yeah, but the mom. I'm talking about the mom that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like the mother, the ape mother, the chimp mother.
Yeah. Apes have feelings too, bro. Didn't you learn anything about this movie?
Sorry. Oh, we missed, I wanted to real quick hit on my favorite parts of it. Before we skim over, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, because I know you don't want this. This could be like, 5 movies. We could do this for 2 hours. You should see my fucking notes here. I can't help myself. Dude, what I loved, we talk about the underlying social thing. I love the mutants in Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Yeah. First of all, they worship a bomb. Get it? They worship. But this is my favorite line, and I thought, I don't know, is this like too much of a hitting the nail on the head about America in the 1970s? The line, "We are a peaceful people. We don't kill our enemies. We get our enemies to kill each other."
Yeah, I wrote down that note and I said, wait, is Beneath the Planet of the Apes the original Saw?
Yeah, it's good. It's funny. But anyway, we can move on to Escape. Or did we talk enough about original Planet of the Apes? Did we gush enough about how like?
I mean, yeah, we could talk about that movie forever, but I feel like, we did. Like, we did a good.
Most people know. We can kind of gloss. Everybody knows that that's a class. It's an all-timer, right?
So
we can talk a little bit about Escape.
And Escape. I mean, Escape. Like I said, the only thing that I really enjoyed about that movie is the paradox that it creates. I just feel like it missed the mark of the this. It all of these movies strive on that dystopian feel because it really disconnects the Earth of now and it projects all those social commentaries into like a dystopian future, and they can really amp up the metaphors
Yeah,
and
I think
the
you
things.
lose the sci-fi. Sci-fi's so
Yeah,
good for doing that sort of thing, that kind of like social commentary and metaphors and stuff.
yeah,
Like sci-fi's perfect for it. And because this mostly takes place in like just the 1970s,
yeah.
it doesn't have that feel to it. I definitely Conquest goes back in the right direction, even though it's weird that you're like it only took 20 years for this. Although I guess I was looking and I was like, oh, it's only 20 years to descend into total authoritarianism. And then I looked around at the world we live in and I was like, oh, it's almost been 4 years actually.
Damn. Yeah, and there's
uh,
a virus now
so
too.
relevant Planet of the Apes franchise. Why are you so like irrelevant still?
I don't know. I'm looking at my dogs, waiting for him to die, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get apes
Yeah,
then.
if the coronavirus starts killing off the pets and people are like, I got a monkey now, I'm out. That's it. I'm just done. I'm gonna Zira and Dr. Milo myself in a rocket. I'll shoot myself to the moon.
That's hilarious. But yeah, I did enjoy the so that's why I kind of hated the last one so much because in the fourth they do this subtle thing, this tribute to the color coding in that the gorillas have a different jumpsuit and
Right, their jumpsuits are kind of all like, and you get to see the different types of training that like gorillas
yeah,
get. Chimpanzees. Chimpanzees are like, I mean, I don't want to say it, they're literally that, but the way they do it, it's like house slaves and field slaves. You have the gorillas are
yeah,
doing more labor. The chimps are working in the house. They're doing servers. They're being maids. They're doing babysitting, stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, they know what they're doing. They have a slave
yeah.
auction in the movie. It's not subtle. It's not like I'm breaking any taboos. You just
I mean, no, you're not breaking any taboos because literally one of the the one that helps Caesar says, as a former descendant of a slave, what are you trying to do with this society? So, like they literally said it out loud. It wasn't like a mysterious thing, but I didn't.
no,
One of the
that's the
things
one
that
thing about this movie. It's and actually I think it's why the social commentary in this franchise is successful is because they put it on Front Street, because even dummies can watch a Planet of the Apes movie and understand something. They might not
yeah,
get every nuance, they might not get everything, but when in the first one when Dr. Zira's like they're just dumb beasts, they're going to understand the relevance of that. You know what
yeah,
I mean? The
yeah,
dumbest
yeah, yeah.
person is going to get our hands on that, and that's what's and great sci-fi crosses all those barriers and is like
I mean, yeah.
accessible to everyone. Like
In the
so,
in the first one, they were like flat out saying like they cannot know our past because that will damage our society. Like
right,
if
hide
you
the
know,
past, stuff
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
if you know that your structure is just one crooked leg and you kick it under, it's just all gonna crumble.
but
But
you
yeah,
don't want the American people to find out that our whole history is built on like genocide. That would suck.
no,
Better keep that
no,
quiet. Oh, gee
don't say
whiz.
that out loud. Uh,
Shh,
we're gonna get
Google, quiet. Don't tell people that.
Siri, why are you talking? Yeah, so I really did enjoy the fourth one. I think it's up there with
Also, a
the.
virus movie we talked about, just like the I love a good virus movie.
Before we move on to fifth, did want to talk about Ricardo's death, which is fucking hilarious. He just literally jumps off the flimsiest window
Yeah, they're
available.
they're like trying to use a truth ray on him basically to make
Yeah,
him, and he resists it and basically dives out a window and dies.
like
He never
what?
tells them what they want to hear, but he kind of like freaks out and falls slash dives out a window.
And I just kept watching that scene. I was like, kept thinking about it, and I was like, what integration room has like this open window right there?
Giant window, big plate glass window.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
A place
Uh,
where you try to trap a desperate person into confessing to a crime. Let's just leave a big open space where they can
yeah.
jump through.
But before we move on, actually, we should talk about, because I did kind of mention that the original ending versus the alternate ending. In the original ending, Caesar takes more of a peaceful approach to his
Yeah,
conquering.
the theatrical ending, the actual one,
Yeah,
So I guess I would say the original one is the first one they filmed, which is where he lets the apes go. He lets the gorillas go ape shit on the guy.
Yeah, but I feel like obviously I was watching it and I didn't know about the alternate ending. I was watching. I was like, this looks so janky. What the fuck is happening? Because it's so
the voiceover. You don't ever see his mouth moving because it's all done in voiceover and like cuts to the gorillas waiting and cuts to the guy. You know.
So and I also did like that his ally was obviously like a black man, because in the first three, I think the black man is the first one to die. So
yeah,
it's hilarious. And then now the fifth one, I guess we gotta kind of talk about it.
Before you shit on the fifth one, can I shout out Virgil? This is the guy you were talking about earlier, the little orangutan. He's a little dumpy guy. He's an intellectual and he fucking rules. He kicks ass. He's always right. I love his little like sly takedowns of everybody. Like I like Virgil. All right.
Oh yeah, I did enjoy.
If I ever redo my face, it's gonna be my face on Virgil. It'll be an even deeper, more obscure reference for people.
I don't know. I think I already shitted on it enough in terms of like the laziness, but I feel it's not its fault. But at the same time, the story itself is kind of dumb. The reason why he's looking for his parents is never really that explored outside of, oh, the gorilla destroyed the school, so we have to search for your parents. It's like, yeah, but why are we poking the bear of why are we going
it's just like no, well, and I have this too here. I think a lot of it is just like because Caesar's I think this movie is mostly like a character arc thing for Caesar. It's not done great, but it's like he's not a good leader. He's very self-involved at the beginning. It's like his way or the highway. He's not, you know what I mean? He's just a dictator. He doesn't take anything. He doesn't pay attention to insurrection clearly happening under his nose. He doesn't like take that in consideration or think about what might be causing that or why people are unhappy. He's not, he just like embarrasses and instigates his rival, and and he just does things selfishly because he wants to. Now by the end he does learn a lesson, I think. Like I feel like that's so like I'm okay with that, but I think that's what it stems from, of like why he goes to the city, because he doesn't give a shit. He's just thinking about himself. I do it because I'm Caesar. I can do what I want. I'm curious about this,
Yeah, because since he was like the first one to talk, and they never really explore how I kind of liked the explanation given to the new ones, that it was like the virus that it was taken away from the humans and giving it to the
humans in this still have speech and stuff, but only some of them are still wearing clothes. Some of them are already transitioned into rags.
Yeah, so
and some of them are wearing outfits. And then also, like, it's only been 20 years, but all apes can speak now, apparently. Like, not just ones, like, just regular apes were talking.
Yeah, I don't know. I get it. I get that they were bound
that's a nitpick. There's plenty of dumb shit in this movie. You don't have to nitpick, but that just confused me, too. Like, talking about the timeline stuff, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. That's fine.
And also the conclusion, like that chanting of the ape don't kill no ape shit. Yeah. They killed that ape, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. I have that here too. The punishment for breaking their most sacred law of ape not kill ape. Well, kill that ape, of course. But also, I was like, I don't think the movie is trying to be this deep, but you could read it. This is just me. I'm going to twist it out even farther. You could read it as a commentary on the stupidity of the death penalty and how the hypocrisy of the death penalty, and how like the punishment for murder is a murder. Like, okay, what are we saying then? That it's okay sometimes? Like, I don't know how your like conscience is on that. I'm not trying to make this podcast about how you feel about the penalty. But if you want to try to pretend this movie's smarter than it is, I don't think that's what they were doing here. I just think they were like, how do you end a movie? With the villain, a hero killing the villain, of course. I mean, and in the way that his son also just got killed, which shout out to Planet of the Apes, never miss an opportunity to kill a little kid. Good for you.
Yeah.
Also, I thought it paralleled well the battle between Caesar and Koba in the end of Dawn, up on the tree, battling, hitting each other, fighting, and one of them falls.
Oh yeah, yes. I wanted to say I have that on my notes. That's like obviously they do it like because
Well,
everything in
General
Hollywood
Aldo
now
is the
has to be
closest thing
huge.
to a Koba we ever have in the series, an ape who kind of
Yeah.
like is
Questions.
antagonistic
Yeah.
to us. There's a general in the second movie, but he's really more of just like your militaristic. Like he kind of would
Yeah.
remind you of the General Michael Clark Duncan played in the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes, if you're
Yes,
familiar.
yes. I thought that was a direct thing that Tim Burton took out from.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I
Planet of the
feel
Apes is very bad. Everybody, there's
Oh yeah.
8 great Planet of the Apes movies and 1 very bad one.
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't. I called Battle great because I was trying to make a point. It's not. Let's be fair.
So I think we've
The
done it justice.
rankings phase.
A ranking phase. So we wanted to do because we're on the internet and we cannot walk away from one.
It doesn't even count.
Yeah, if you walk away from more than one movie and you haven't ranked them, you fail at your job.
We'll rank 3 movies.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do it first, and then I'm gonna leave it for my Ape expert, and then we're gonna close it out.
Are you gonna do it 5-1?
Yeah. I feel 5 and 4 are fairly close in my head for me, but I am gonna give it to Escape as my least favorite.
Even below Battle.
But it's like, dude, it's like
neck and neck.
Yeah. And it's that fucking montage really fucking killed it for me. So hard.
I loved like seeing him in their little like what about his colorful fucking robe and when they're at the hotel and shit?
He looked exactly like Teen Wolf, and I could not get Michael J. Fox out of my head. So Escape, then Battle, and then I have Conquest third, but it's also very close with Beneath. Like they're like neck and neck for me because I really did enjoy that underground civilization. I did enjoy that fucking nihilistic ending. But Conquest also went back to the roots of the first one in terms of like that class struggle and that Caesar like entering a new world, and so I really did enjoy that. And then like miles ahead is the first one.
Well, yeah, the first one is like a legitimate classic, and then
I feel like the bottom is tied and the middle is tied, and then first.
Well, I mean, also Planet of the Apes, first of its kind, really. I mean, there had been stuff like. I mean, there's not that there had never been franchises before, but this is one of the first times where a sci-fi franchise just like went all in, and like we talked about, a movie every year for 5 years, basically, just pumping them out, boom, 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 and really milked it. But legitimately off the success of a movie that deserved it, that is good enough.
Oh yeah,
that's obviously going to be number 1 for both of us. It's I mean, Planet of the Apes is a legit. Like if you never watch any of the other ones. But you should at least treat yourself to watching the original Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
And just like enjoy what they were doing there. It's great. My ranking, I would go 5 Battle. It's hampered by its budget a lot. Like it literally looks like the final battle reminds me of like a Civil War reenactment with like the scale. I was like, we got 1 cannon and we got about a dozen dudes on each side. Literally, they make a barricade. They run up and make a barricade out of like chairs and like some sections of fence. It's just it's
hilarious if they hired
a low budge. Virgil can't save it. It's really I do think it's, but again, it's like all of my beloved franchise. I do think there's still things that have merit. Like there's still things worth seeing in it. There's things I can enjoy in it.
Yeah,
Virgil, if nothing else, the great Virgil.
I plucked out a lot of things that I enjoyed out of all of them. That's for sure.
Yeah. 4, I would go with Escape. Mostly, like, what hurts it is the crazy tonal swing of, like, hey, are we at what? We're like, well, hey, we're jiving in the 70s, and a kid is getting murdered. And a baby gets shot 6 times. I mean, it's a baby ape, but it's still a baby. We're supposed to, at the time, think it's basically like an intelligent ape baby, so it's basically a human baby. It gets shot, and then the guy shoots it, and then runs up on it, and it's like,
It's just like, fucking hell.
Fucked up. It's fucked up. So, but I do. But again, there's still stuff for me to enjoy. Then for 3, I would go with Beneath. Um, I like it, but again, it's funny to me. It's got that kind of forced sequelitis where it's like a lot of the plot and everything is like you can tell we're just like we got to come up with something. I like what they came up with. I think it's cool and fucking weird. I love how weird it is. You know what I mean? I like that they went to like it would have been easy to just do like an ape civil war as the second part, you know?
Yeah.
But they're like, how about an underground society of mutants who has telepathic powers and worship an atomic bomb? And they're like, all right, yeah, right on.
Here's your check. Here's your check.
Do
See
it.
you next year.
Do it up. 2 for me would be Conquest. I can't stress enough that it's not all nostalgia. I know I admitted earlier.
Oh, I enjoyed it. First viewing.
But
I enjoyed it.
Legitimately pretty great. I think there's a lot of cool stuff in it. I love the look of it. It's sci-fi, but it feels completely different than any of the other Planet of the Apes movies. Like its look and everything. I love the harsh angles. I love the lighting. I love I like the plan that Caesar comes up with of how he like has these apes kind of doing just like minor infractions, but he knows that'll get them all sent to re-education, so he'll basically have all his army with him at one time, and like all the stuff of them preparing and then bringing him shit and him like rewriting orders so they get some of the stuff, and it's really fun. It's just a fun movie. I really enjoyed it, and then 1 like by a mile obviously is the one that is like a legitimate iconic classic that should remain in the pantheon of great movies.
I agree. I honestly felt it was very rewarding going back and watching this franchise, and I'm happy I did it.
And you mentioned this, and you can't, honestly, I know we talk about it, and it shouldn't matter, but sometimes it does. All these are like a fun, breezy 90 minutes. I think the first one is like the longest one at almost 2 hours. So you could just like, these are great for like an afternoon when you're kicking back and maybe it's rainy or maybe you mowed the lawn and now you just want to relax and you might end up taking a nap in the recliner. That's perfect to throw on for that.
The last 2 are 1 hour and 25 minutes. They didn't even want to reach the 30
It's crazy that Conquest is that short because there's a lot going on in Conquest. Like, it's kind of nuts to me that that's an hour and 20.
And before we leave, I did love that every single one had this motif of water and blah blah blah, but every single one ended with like and it end.
Yeah,
there's like an abrupt ending that just leaves you like.
Well, most of them have an abrupt downer ending. Like like some of the bleaker endings, like when people talk about a bleak ending, you hear about The Mist, but you don't hear about Escape from the Planet of the Apes. But it's got a fucking pretty bleak ending.
Fuck yeah. So yeah, I'm happy that I was with my fellow ape lover. I'm probably gonna buy this box set I think
you got a nice Blu-ray set that's got all the new ones.
Yeah,
too.
the new ones as well. So it's gonna happen.
You might have that. It might accidentally also come with the Tim Burton one though.
That's fine. I can throw it out the window. So where can the people find you, Brian?
Oh wait, I just want real quick. I know I know we've been running long, but I had this one little tidbit that I just fucking loved. So when they were trying to get the movie made originally, they made this test footage to see if because they were like, people are gonna laugh. Nobody's gonna take this movie seriously if you got a guy in an ape costume. It's gonna suck. So they did this test footage, and they used the guy who they originally were gonna cast as Dr. Zaius, and it was Edward G. Robinson, fucking classic actor. He's in Double Indemnity. He's the guy who's like, I talked about Looney Tunes. He's got like the fish lips and his eyes are all squinty. He's always got the cigar. He looks like a gangster.
Yeah. He looks like he always has prosthetics on.
Right. I always thought that was so funny. And then like he ended up not doing it because of the prosthetics. He didn't want to wear them. Like he tried it on. He was like, oh fuck this. I'm not doing this shit. And
I already have a lot of
Cornelius in that test footage was James Brolin. No shit. It was James Brolin played Cornelius in the original test footage.
Holy shit.
It's crazy. It's on the special features. Check it out. Ooh, old DVDs, Blu-ray, yay! I bet this fucking Behind the Planet of the Apes isn't on the new box set. It's just for me. I bet it's just for me.
All right, say goodbye, Brian.
All right, fine. You can find me at Hercules. Look for the guy with the Dr. Zaius avatar on Twitter. Talk to me about Planet of the Apes. Talk to me about aliens. Talk to me about movies.
All right. You can find us and two other guys in the Flyover State of Film podcast, and you can find me as well in the wildlifemovies.com. And today I'll probably post a synopsis of what we talked about in my website as well. Goodbye. See you. Catch you on the next flyby.
Catch you on the flippity flop.